The crash landing discovery? The desert sun blazed mercilessly overhead as Jenna Martinez wiped sweat from her brow. Her archaeological tools scattered around the ancient ruins she had been excavating for months. The remote site held secrets of a lost civilization. But today would bring a discovery that would change everything she thought she knew about the universe. A thunderous crash echoed across the barren landscape, followed by a pillar of black smoke rising from behind the sandstone cliffs. Jenna grabbed her water bottle and emergency kit, racing toward the source of the disturbance. Her heart pounded as she climbed the rocky outcrop, expecting to find a downed aircraft or meteor strike. What she found defied all logic. A sleek, crystalline vessel lay embedded in the sand, its surface shimmering with colors that seemed to shift in the desert heat. The craft was unlike anything from Earth, with flowing curves and organic patterns that suggested it had been grown rather than built. Steam hissed from several cracks along its hull, and a low humming filled the air. Jenna approached cautiously, her scientific mind racing with possibilities, while her survival instincts screamed warnings. Through a transparent section of the hull, she glimpsed movement. Someone or something was inside, possibly injured. Making a decision that would alter her destiny, she began searching for an entry point. Her fingers traced along the smooth surface, until she found a section that felt warm to the touch. The material responded to her presence, dissolving like liquid mercury to reveal an opening. Inside, the ship's interior glowed with soft bioluminescent panels. The air smelled of ozone and something floral she couldn't identify. Lying unconscious near what appeared to be a control console was a being unlike anything she had ever imagined. He was tall and lean, skin bearing a subtle iridescent quality that caught the ship's ambient light. His hair was silver white and seemed to float slightly as if underwater. Most striking were his features, which were hauntingly beautiful and undeniably alien, with high cheekbones and eyes that even closed, appeared larger than human proportions. Jenna knelt beside him, her medical training from her fieldwork kicking. His breathing was shallow but steady, and she could see a nasty gash across his shoulder that leaked a fluid more silver than red. Despite every rational thought telling her to flee, she found herself tending to his wound with supplies from her kit. As she worked, his eyes suddenly opened, revealing irises of the deepest violet she had ever seen. They locked onto hers with an intensity that made her breath catch. When he spoke, his voice was melodic, despite his obvious pain. "You are not of the hunting party," he said in perfect English, though his accent carried musical undertones that seemed impossible for human vocal cords to produce. "Hunting party," Jenna whispered, her hand still pressed against his injured shoulder. "I'm an archaeologist. Saw your ship crash." He struggled to sit up, wincing. "Then you have saved my life, Earthwoman. I am Kekstar of the Starbound Wanderers." His violet eyes studied her face with curious intensity. "And you are beautiful in ways my people would find most intriguing." The language of touch 3 days passed in the shelter of the crashed ship as Kekstar recovered from his injuries. Jenna had moved her essential supplies from the dig site, telling her research team via radio that she was investigating a geological anomaly and needed solitude. The lie came easier than she expected. During those days, she discovered that Kekstar species communicated as much through touch as through words. When he was in pain, he would reach for her hand, and somehow the contact seemed to ease his suffering. When she was tired from caring for him, his fingers would brush her forehead, and waves of calm would wash over her. "Your people fear touch," he observed on the third evening, as they shared her simple meal of canned food and water. "Why do you pull away when I try to comfort you, as you have comforted me?" Jenna felt heat rise in her cheeks. "It's complicated. Humans don't usually touch strangers, especially not the way you touch me." "Stranger?" Kekstar tilted his head, his silver hair catching the ship's gentle glow. "You've seen me at my weakest, tended my wounds, shared your sustenance." "Mon God, my people, such acts create bonds deeper than blood relations." He moved closer on the ship's soft floor covering, and Jenna found herself unable to retreat. His hand came up to cup her cheek, thumb tracing the line of her cheekbone. "You saved my life, Jenna Martinez. That makes you precious to me." "Kekstar, I don't understand your customs, she whispered, though she didn't pull away from his touch. Where I come from, this kind of intimacy means something different. Show me, he said simply. Teach me what it means among your people. The space between them seemed charged with electricity. Jenna's scientific mind cataloged the impossibility of the situation, even as her heart raced. She had spent years buried in ancient ruins, avoiding emotional connections. Yet here was this extraordinary being offering her something she hadn't known she needed. Slowly, she leaned forward and pressed her lips to his. The kiss was gentle at first, exploratory, but when Kekstar responded with surprising warmth, it deepened. His lips were softer than human lips. She could taste something like starlight and honey. When they broke apart, Kekstar's eyes held. Wonder, this is how your people share souls? He asked breathlessly, something like that. Jenna replied, her own breathing uneven. She traced the silver patterns that marked his skin along his collar. Among humans, this means affection, desire, love. Love, he repeated the word, as if testing its weight. Yes, I think I understand now. His arms encircled her, pulling her close. In my language, we have a word, Tashara. It means the bonding of two souls across the vast spaces between stars. As the desert night deepened around them, Jenna discovered that the language of touch transcended species. Wrapped in Kekstar's embrace, she felt more connected to another being than she ever had in her solitary human life. The stars visible through the ship's transparent section seemed to pulse in rhythm with their joined heartbeats. Why can't you return to your people? She finally asked, her head resting on his chest. His arms tightened around her. Because I carry something they would kill for, and someone they would die to possess. Secrets of the stars following morning brought revelations that shattered Jenna's understanding of the universe. Kekstar led her to a secured compartment in his ship, where a device no larger than her palm pulsed with inner light. Why I can never go home, he explained, his voice heavy with sadness. It is a quantum consciousness matrix, containing the collective memories and knowledge of a dying civilization. My people, the Kethmori, are conquerors. They sent me to retrieve this from a world they had destroyed, but when I saw what it truly was, I couldn't deliver it to them. Jenna held the device carefully, feeling its warmth against her skin. You're protecting the last remnants of an entire species. Yes, and in doing so, I've become a traitor to my own. Kekstar's violet eyes met hers. The hunting party that pursues me includes my own brother. Will not stop until they have this device and my life. The weight of his sacrifice hit her. Like a physical blow, you gave up everything for people you'd never met. Just as you're risking everything for someone not of your species, he replied, moving closer. Tell me, Jenna Martinez, what drives you to care for an alien fugitive? She set the device aside carefully and turned to face him fully. Loneliness, maybe? Spent my whole career digging up the remnants of dead civilizations, trying to understand people who vanished thousands of years ago. But with you, I'm discovering something alive, something real. Kekstar's hands found her face, thumbs tracing her cheekbones. I have wandered the stars for cycles, never finding a place to call home. But in your touch, in your kindness, I've found something worth more than all the worlds in the galaxy. Their second kiss was deeper than the first, filled with the desperate intensity of two souls who had found each other across impossible odds. Jenna felt Kekstar's hands in her hair, felt the alien warmth of his skin against hers as they moved together on the ship's soft flooring. Show me more of human love, he whispered against her neck, his breath sending shivers through her body. What followed was unlike anything Jenna had ever experienced. Kekstar's touch carried an electric quality that seemed to resonate with her very nervous system. When his lips traced the line of her throat, she felt connected not just to him, but to the cosmos itself. The ship's bioluminescent panels pulsed in rhythm with their heartbeats as they made love with a passion that transcended species. Afterward, they lay entwined beneath the stars visible through the ship's transparent ceiling. Jenna traced the intricate silver patterns that marked Kekstar's skin, discovering they were warm to the touch and seemed to glow more brightly when he was aroused. These markings, she murmured, what do they mean? They tell the story of my lineage, my travels, my bonds, he explained, capturing her wandering hand. And now they will carry the memory of this moment, of you, for as long as I live. How long might that be? She asked, suddenly aware of how little she knew about his species' lifespan. KEX's expression grew solemn. If my people find us, perhaps only days? If we can evade them, ... double quotes, seeming to struggle with the concept. My kind can live for what you would call centuries. But Jenna, your human lifespan is so brief compared to mine. The reality of their situation crashed over her like a cold wave. Even if they survived his pursuers, their time together was limited by her mortality. Yet looking into his violet eyes, she knew she wouldn't trade these moments for 1,000 years of safety. The hunter's Araviana woke to Kextar, shaking her urgently, his violet eyes wide with alarm. They're here, he whispered. 3 ships, landing beyond the ridge. We have perhaps minutes before they find us. The peaceful intimacy of their shared nights shattered as reality intruded. Jenna grabbed her essential supplies while Kextar activated something in his ship that caused it to shimmer and fade, becoming nearly invisible against the desert landscape. Will that hide us? She asked, shouldering her pack. From distance? Scanners? Yes, but not from close examination. Kextar retrieved the quantum consciousness matrix and secured it in a pouch at his side. We must flee into the deep desert. There are places where the mineral deposits will mask our biosignatures. They slipped out of the ship and into the pre-dawn darkness. Jenna's knowledge of the terrain proved invaluable as she led them through. Hidden canyons and ancient dried riverbeds. Behind them, alien searchlights began sweeping the area where the ship lay concealed. As the sun rose, they found shelter in a cave system Jenna had discovered during her earlier surveys. The walls were lined with crystals that seemed to resonate with Kextar's presence, glowing faintly when he touched them. These minerals, he said in wonder, they're similar to what we use in our technology. How did they come to be on your world? Maybe your people visited Earth before, Jenna suggested, but their conversation was interrupted by the sound of approaching. Footsteps echoing through the cave entrance, 3 figures appeared, silhouetted against the morning light. They shared Kextar's tall, lean build and silver hair, but their bearing was predatory, dangerous. The one in the center spoke in the melodic alien language, and Kextar responded with what sounded like defiance. My brother Rethmak, Kextar whispered to Jenna. He demands I surrender the Matrix and return home to face execution for treason. And what did you tell him? Jenna asked, though she was already reaching for the emergency flare in her pack, that I would die first, and the Matrix with me. Confrontation erupted into violence with shocking suddenness. The alien hunters moved within human speed, but Jenna's desperate plan worked. The emergency flare burst into brilliant light in the crystalline cave, reflecting and amplifying until the entire chamber blazed like a star. The hunters, adapted to their ship's controlled lighting, were temporarily blinded. Run, Kextar. Grabbed Jenna's hand, and they plunged deeper into the cave system. Behind them, alien voices called out in anger and pain. They emerged from a hidden exit on the far side of the ridge. But their relief was short-lived. More ships were arriving, filling the sky with their sleek forms. Kextar's people had committed significant resources to his capture. There's an old mining facility about 10 kilometers south, Jenna gasped as they ran across the rocky terrain. It has underground tunnels, places to hide. But as they crested a hill, they saw their destination was already surrounded by alien craft. Kextar stopped running, his shoulders sagging in defeat. They've anticipated every move, he said quietly. Rethmak knows how I think. He was my closest companion before I chose this path. Jenna turned to face him, seeing the despair in his violet eyes. Then we make a stand here, she said firmly. Together. Kextar's expression shifted from defeat to amazement. Shh. You would die for me? For people you've never met? He gestured to the Matrix at his side. I would die with you, she corrected, pulling him close for what might be their last kiss. That's what love means to humans. You don't abandon each other. As the alien ships began to converge on their position, Kextar held Jenna tight, his silver markings blazing with light. Then let us show them what two bonded souls can accomplish together. Two worlds become one. The final confrontation took place at sunset, painting the desert in shades of gold and crimson. Kextar's brother Rethmak approached alone, his hands raised to show he carried no weapons. His resemblance to Kextar was striking, but where Kextar's eyes held warmth, Rethmak's were cold as space. Brother Rethmak spoke in English, clearly for Jenna's benefit. You have been seduced by this primitive creature. Return the Matrix to our people, and I will ensure your death is swift. The Matrix stays with me, Kextar replied, his arm protective around Jenna's waist. And Jenna is worth more than our entire conquest fleet. Rethmak's expression twisted with disgust. You would choose this brief-lived alien over your own blood? Over the glory of the Kethmori Empire? I choose love over conquest, Kextar said simply, something our people have forgotten in their hunger for power. The standoff stretched taut as a wire until Jenna stepped forward, her hand on the quantum consciousness matrix at Kextar's side. What if there was another way? She asked. If the matrix could teach your people something more valuable than the knowledge they seek? Both brothers stared at her. Jenna's archaeological mind had been working on the problem since she first held the device. This matrix contains the memories of an entire civilization, right? Their experiences, their emotions, their understanding of love and peace and cooperation. Kextar's eyes widened as he understood her meaning. You want to share it with them? Not the technical knowledge they want to steal, Jenna clarified, but the emotional wisdom they need to learn. The same wisdom that made you choose mercy over duty. Rethmak laughed harshly. The Kethmori do not need lessons in weakness from dead species. Then they'll die like dead species, Jenna shot back. Conquering and destroying until there's nothing left but empty worlds and hollow victories. The matrix in Kextar's hands began to pulse more brightly, responding to the intensity of the moment. Suddenly it projected a holographic image into the air between them. The image showed not technical schematics or weapon designs, but a family scene from the destroyed world. Alien beings not unlike the Kethmori, but gathered in harmony, their children playing while adults shared knowledge and joy. Rethmak staggered, as if physically struck. The other hunters who had been approaching stopped in their tracks. The hologram shifted, showing more scenes of cooperation, love, art, and peaceful coexistence. This is what you were meant to retrieve, Jenna said softly. Not weapons or technology, but the wisdom to become something greater than conquerors. Kextar activated the matrix fully, and waves of emotion washed over everyone present. The first time the Kethmori hunters experienced the memories and feelings of their victims. They felt the terror of worlds under attack, the grief of civilizations destroyed, but also the capacity for love that existed in every sentient species. Rethmak fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. What have we become? He whispered. The transformation wasn't instant or complete, but it was real. As the Matrix's influence spread to the other ships through their communication networks, Kextar's people began to experience empathy for the first time in generations. Months later, Jenna stood in the desert beside a new kind of monument. Crashed ship had been transformed into a meeting place where human archaeologists worked alongside Kethmori scholars to study the peaceful civilizations they had once destroyed. The quantum matrix had been duplicated and shared freely, its lessons of love and cooperation spreading throughout the galaxy. Kextar approached, his silver markings bright with happiness. The Council has agreed to establish permanent cultural exchange centers on 7 worlds, he reported. They want you to head the program. Jenna smiled, taking his hand.
What about us, a human and a Kethmori? We've started something new, Kextar replied, pulling her close. A bridge between
worlds, between hearts. Our love story is becoming their legend. As the desert stars emerged overhead, Jenna realized that sometimes the greatest discoveries weren't buried in ancient ruins, but found in the collision of two souls brave enough to choose love over everything else they'd ever known. Their kiss. Under the starlight sealed not just their personal bond, but the beginning of a new era of peace among the stars. The alien's eyes had sparkled with more than curiosity that first day. It sparkled with the promise of a love that would transform worlds.